Starting in November of 2021, I moved into my vehicle at Walmart in northern Vermont, despite the harsh winter approaching, and because of this debatably poor choice, I had to buy winter tires and a heating system that together put me around $4,000 in debt, which led to me working as much as I could at my low-paying job, though honestly, I was fine with that because I loved working there and it was free heat, a free microwave, and they even had an employee bathroom with showers. Somehow, those things had become luxurious to me. On my days off of work, I would spend as many hours as I could in the library to stay warm and to not use up too much of my external battery. Regardless, some mornings I still woke up in single digits. During all of this, every night I was coming back to what I began to call home, my local Walmart parking lot, and I was getting a glimpse at what really happens at night from a bird's eye view, literally, because I was watching so many crazy stories unfold by sticking my head out of my skylight and peeking around. Some things are exactly what you'd expect, like teens doing TikTok dances and running around in shopping carts, to car and RV repairs at midnight, and plenty of fights. And I always had a front row seat. One that really stuck out to me was when a woman screamed, "You never deserved me," to her boyfriend. And while that's heartbreaking, good for her. I'm glad she knows her worth. But not all fights were that simple. One fight I witnessed had me on the edge of calling the police. There were two people who I believed were homeless living out of their minivan. I'm not sure if it was by choice or by necessity, but they of course both parked one spot over from me because the whole parking lot was empty. I don't understand. It's a weirdly common thing when there's a whole empty parking lot. They have to park right next to you. I don't know. Anyway. At around 1 a.m., they start fighting, and they're pacing outside their vehicle, screaming at each other, and at one point, he literally throws up and then keeps arguing. There were points where I heard some crashing, and in the morning when I left, this is what the parking spot looked like. Some nights were more fun, though. I think my favorite of all time was when I woke up to some hollering, and it was a bunch of drunk country boys playing cornhole. They were just so passionately into the game. I think a lot of people would be driven mad by all the things that wake me up, but honestly, I know what I signed up for, so I'm okay with it. Also, sometimes I see really wholesome things, like this guy playing with his light-up ball. Alright, so when I posted this video the first time, I thought he was alone, but I just turned up the volume, and oh my gosh. Honestly, most of the things that I saw were just teenage boys in the middle of the night being teenage boys. For example, at least once a week, someone would come and do donuts in the parking lot, even when there was ice. The weather was pretty bad most of the time that I lived there, which sometimes is actually convenient because less people hang around and make noise, and cops aren't around making me feel nervous they're going to knock on my door and tell me to leave. Plus, when it snowed, everyone else I worked with had to get up early and shovel their driveways, but I had professionals who came and did it for me, literally, which actually once really scared and embarrassed me when I slept in a little too late after a snowstorm.
So today, I woke up to someone driving by and yelling, "Wake up," because it was snowplow guys, and they wanted to plow where my car was. And I laid there for a little bit, and I was like, no, it's probably just someone driving by saying what's up to someone else. And then it wasn't. And I hate my life.
But even when it doesn't feel like it, life goes on, and I wasn't the only one living there. Vermont is really big for skiers and winter sports, so a lot of vanlifers actually stayed there on a rotating basis. The weather was so bad that I actually was having serious issues with my battery, never having enough charge, and sometimes I'd have to live with no electricity, but at least my fridge didn't really need it anyway because soup cans could freeze on the floor on their own outside of the fridge. It was usually too cold to open my door to be able to safely cook, and running water for dishes or brushing my teeth wasn't possible because it was all ice. Some days I would have to warm up my battery with a hairdryer before it could even take any charge from my vehicle. And the condensation inside the van would freeze on the windshield, so I had to scrape it off every morning until it looked like it had snowed inside the van. I think the cold is the reason that one night my van just kept turning on every 30 minutes all by itself. Why are you haunting me? But one of my funniest days is when I woke up to just a clang against my van, and then when I looked, there was just a bag of potatoes. No explanation, no reason, no one yelling. Someone just wanted to throw potatoes at me, I guess. I also got to witness some fantastic driving skills in action. And I think my favorite person I saw on the road might have to be this older woman who had a tiny trailer and a massive pig she was just walking and feeding casually in the parking lot. It was genuinely iconic. Honestly though, one of my biggest problems I faced was bugs getting in whenever I had my doors open for even a second too long, so I can't even imagine how it would be with a pig in the van. And there are actually still some situations where I haven't quite figured out what was going on.
Ding-dong ditching vanlifers. Like, I don't understand how that was supposed to be funny.
And another really scary moment was this guy walking around with a flashlight. I don't remember too much about the situation, honestly, so I'm assuming he just moved on, but even the video gives me the creeps. Sometimes you wake up and people are just messing around right outside your van, and these walls are so thin I can hear pretty much everything word for word. I never got into any trouble with the cops at this Walmart that I lived at in Vermont, but I have had cops knock on my van before. But those are stories for another time, and trust me, they are somehow crazier than these. One cop broke the law, and another, well, that night actually started with me almost being towed in my sleep and ended with 2 people in the hospital, so yeah, if you think I should make a video on those, just let me know, like this video, comment on it. But yeah, my only cop encounters at this Walmart were that I once woke up hearing a police radio right outside my van, and that gave me like a fight or flight response, and I just panicked and decided to wait it out. He never knocked, he was just chilling next to my van, creepily. And another day was that I actually was just casually pulling down my window blinds, and I found out there was just a cop parked in front of me. And they left after like 8 minutes, but it was just still like a mini heart-stopping moment to assess the situation and figure out what was going on. The other heart-wrenching thing I saw was homelessness firsthand. In the dead of winter, when I was in here freezing with a heater and many blankets and all these resources, I began to realize that there was about 2 to 3 people who lived in the woods behind the Walmart. I saw a man break into one of the donation boxes and he didn't come out for hours, and I assume it was a way for him to stay warm. I saw another man break into the donation bin and take clothes. When you live in your vehicle and you are getting by, you begin to notice and see more people who are not and have not been able to get by in quite a while. And as a solo female, it is heartbreaking to watch that and know that I can't get out of my vehicle and go say to someone that I don't know, hey, I'm living alone in my van. Hey, I have these things. I can't just approach someone alone with things or offer things. I would be putting myself in a major danger. And besides, I actually started donating my safety keychains to homeless shelters, to women's shelters, because I was thinking about how I can't go up to them because I can't protect myself. But what about them? How do they protect themselves? So I started donating safety keychains and just kind of doing small things in ways that I could, because I didn't know how to watch these people struggle and not be able to help them. So why did I do this? Well, there are plenty of perks to it. I mean, no rent. And also, whenever you crave a snack, all you have to do is take a few steps into Walmart and you can have any snack your heart desires. But also, over here on the East Coast, especially if you have a full-time job, there aren't a lot of options for people to live in their cars. And things can go wrong anywhere, not just Walmart. One of my favorite examples of this is that I actually slept on a public street once in a tourist town, and the sprinklers went off in the middle of the night and just pounded against my vehicle for over an hour. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, I cannot wait to get out to the West Coast. But people on the internet always tell me I'm dumb or stupid for living at Walmart and in cities, but what they are failing to see is that I couldn't afford to live elsewhere. And Walmart was the safest place for me that was close to my job in Vermont. But for now, I still plan on living at plenty of Walmarts, and hopefully I can start living in the mountains and by lakes and in forests and in deserts too. I want to live in San Diego and Portland and Nashville and Slab City. And one day, I will.